Good morning, class. Before we proceed to our lesson, let me ask some questions, okay? Are you familiar with collaborative learning? What about shared inquiry? Do you have any ideas about it? Okay, thank you. So, for today's lesson, we will be talking about collaborative learning, shared inquiry as a process of reform. Okay, so let's start our discussion. Collaborative learning, shared inquiry as a process of reform. What is collaborative learning? Collaborative learning is the educational approach of using groups to enhance learning through working together. This approach actively engages learners to process and synthesize information and concepts, rather than using rote memorization of facts and figures. Learners work with each other on projects, where they must collaborate as a group to understand the concepts being presented to them. What is shared inquiry? So, inquiry is an act of asking for information. Shared inquiry is a method of teaching and learning that enables people of all ages to explore the ideas, meaning, and information found in everything they read. Inquiry-based learning uses different approaches to learning, including small group discussion and guided learning. Instead of memorizing facts and material, students learn by doing. This allows them to build knowledge through exploration, experience, and discussion. For example, the teacher divided the students into small groups. The students will discuss the content and will deepen their understanding of it by creating questions for each other and answering them. Technically, students will be working with each other and frequently alongside with their teachers to grasp subject matter or to deepen their understanding about it. In the process, they are developing their social skills and their intellectual skills as well. Students might be interpreting, questioning, creating, synthesizing, inventing, comparing, and many other sorts of active, visible intellectual tasks. But this active learning takes place publicly in partnership with others. Now, moving on to the roots of collaboration in education. Most of the collaborative learning vines are deeply rooted in experiential learning and student-centered instruction. The major proponents of these are philosopher John Dewey, cognitive psychologist John Piaget, and Lev Vygotsky. So these three proponents were strong advocates of learning as experiencing. They stressed how critical it is for the teacher not simply to transmit content, but also to create a context where learners can discover on their own and successfully reconstruct their understanding of the world around them. Many collaborative learning vines have additional roots in social psychology, particularly in the nature and power of small group theory. This articulated in the 1940s by pioneers such as Kurt Lewin and Martin Dush. Small group theory has been applied to social interaction skills and learning in the context of team activity in workplaces and community arenas throughout the nation. Small group theory is in addition a principal foundation for the cooperative learning led by David Johnson and Roger Johnson. This effort to develop cooperative, as opposed to competitive or individualized, goal structures for learning has developed rapidly in elementary and secondary schools. So, it is in this area that the most extensive evaluative research has occurred, generally collaborating the claim that students learn more in cooperative settings that they do in competitive or individualized ones. Learning community curricular reform efforts. Learning communities constitute another major vine in the collaborative learning arbor. These works grew out of important attempts to restructure college curricula for greater intellectual coherence and student engagement. Their solution required a complete reconstruction of students' and teachers' curricular lives around full-time, integrated, interdisciplinary programs, mega courses, usually involving both team teaching and collaborative discussion of primary texts. Discipline-based efforts. Kenneth Brophy and his colleagues pioneered strategies for enabling students to work on their writing and on their thinking out loud with each other. This has led to a rich peer writing approach that has transformed the writing classroom into an active workshop where, as in the real world, writers work on their writing with other writers. Problem-centered approach. Work in critical thinking and problem-centered learning constitutes another cluster of collaborative learning vines. So they ask teams of students to embark on tasks that challenge them to apply the ideas or practice the work of the discipline with their teachers, serving as coaches or providers of expert feedback. Collaboration in undergraduate education. So we have mentioned that collaboration was mainly used in the elementary and secondary level. Now, during the 1980s, several informal networks with interest in collaborative learning have emerged in higher education. CUE, or the Collaboration in Undergraduate Education, is a network of individuals with interest not only in collaborative learning in the classroom, but also in the broader issues of student-teacher collaboration in both research and curricular development or revision, teacher-to-teacher collaborative efforts, and collaborative approaches to academic administration. Collaborative learning and epistemological theory. Those who structure their classrooms around collaboration can find philosophical confirmation of their approaches in recent scholarship in social constructionism and in feminist theory and pedagogy. So we have social constructionism, an expanding web of epistemological perspectives in several disciplines, springs from the assumption that knowledge is socially rather than individually constructed by communities of individuals. Knowledge is shaped over time by successive conversations and by ever-changing social and political environments. The knowledge should not be just the territory of competing scholars or experts. The social constructionists argue that the shaping and testing of ideas is something in which anyone can participate. The way we teach in higher education will be driven primarily by our beliefs, or even more importantly, by the commonly agreed consensus within an academic discipline about what constitutes valid knowledge in the subject area. The nature of knowledge centers on the question of how we know and what we know. What makes us believe that something is true? Questions of this kind are epistemological in nature. Hofer and Pintrich state epistemology is a branch of philosophy concerned with the nature and justification of knowledge.
Hello! Good morning! After knowing and understanding the roots of collaboration, collaborative learning, and epistemology theory, now we're going to learn about designing for collaborative learning. Collaborative learning allows the students to work in teams to conduct and write up a laboratory report, field study, or longer research project. Designing collaborative learning experiences requires the faculty members to have a careful thought about what active learning might entail in one's course or discipline. First, sketching the possibilities. A teacher who is planning collaborative work has to examine scope of a whole course and sketch the collaborative possibilities. Where and in how much of the course is collaboration appropriate? How can the gathering and the doing elements of the course be interwoven so that each element reinforces the other? It is the planning and outlining of strategies to implement in collaborative learning. It is also determining the extent use of collaborative learning. Second, developing the collaborative tasks. Framing the actual task or problem for collaborative work requires thinking through the particular kind of intellectual experiences or thinking tasks that students may undertake together. Most teachers realize that unstructured or free-wheeling explorations do not challenge students. Puzzling tasks and questions stimulate students. Practice and repeated observation is needed to access zones of proximal development. This is knowing the effective, meaningful, and interesting strategy and techniques to execute in the collaborative learning. Third, thinking through how evaluation will work. This concerns with the feedback and the accountability in the critical elements in any collaborative enterprise. What will be the process for sharing or giving feedback on the results? When and how might the faculty member provide clarification, evaluation, or extension of the work has been accomplished? Will the students have an opportunity to evaluate the nature of their own work as well as their effort as an interdependent group? In what manner will they give the teacher feedback on the quality of the experience? How will the teacher carry out individual evaluation when the students are spending significant time working in teams? This stage emphasizes on how students will evaluate themselves, will evaluate their group mates, and evaluate their teachers in executing the collaborative learning. This also emphasizes the teacher's evaluation to students' performance and the teacher's evaluation to the group performance. An accurate and acceptable evaluation will serve as teacher's guide to determine whether he or she successfully implement the collaborative learning or they need some improvements and additional technique. Fourth, practice, the best teacher. The richest guide for the collaborative teachers are their own experiments with teaching, the advice, the experience of colleagues, and the formal and informal feedback from the students. To be an effective teacher in collaborative learning, he or she must search, explore, learn, and practice various techniques to create an exciting and valuable learning experience for students. Always remember that this experience is the best teacher. Each refinement of a collaborative learning design and each new class experience with it recreates the materials in fresh and provocative ways. Collaborative learning enhances the students' cooperation and participation skills, which leads to greater acquisition of knowledge and skills. Reframing the student's role. As students move into collaborative learning setting, students find themselves as grappling with shifts such as the following. 1. From listener, observer, and note-taker to active problem solver, contributor, and discussant. 2. From low to moderate expectation of preparation for class to high expectations, frequently having to do with reading and preparing questions or other assigned work in advance. 3. From a private presence in the classroom to a public one. 4. From attendance dictated by personal choice to that having to do with community experience. 5. From competition with peers to collaborative work with them. From responsibilities and self-definition associated with learning independently to those associated with learning interdependently. And lastly, 7. From seeing teachers and texts as a sole sources of authority and knowledge to seeing peers oneself, and the thinking of the community as additional and important sources of authority and knowledge. As the role and responsibilities of learners increase, their abilities and skills are also enhanced. Many students have difficulty accepting that collaborative learning with peers is real learning and has value. They are expecting that teachers are the sole sources of knowledge in the classroom. With that, faculty members need to set the context of collaborative work so that students can understand and reflect on its rationale, value, and immediate goals. In collaborative learning, there are risks and challenges in working in group due to diverse perspectives. That is the reason why many faculty members develop set of group norms and ground rules for the class to work responsibly and resolve differences. Policies help the teacher to regulate students' behavior that makes it a must. Now, let us proceed to the reframing the teacher role. Teachers who build their courses around group work do not belittle or abandon coverage or skills. Indeed, they and their students are seriously and directly confronting matters of understanding and comprehension all the time. They are being transparent to each other. Collaborative learning helps to dissolve Atlas complex, wherein the teacher feels endlessly responsible for the class' entire intellectual agenda. Classroom time is directed more to conversational inquiry. With this, they build good relationship. Students begin to take part in the learning enterprise. They are able to share their knowledge and skills that helps to create healthy discussion and peer interaction. Teachers reshape lines of authority because everyone has given the right to take part. By observing students in interactive settings, faculty discovered how well they have come to know their students and how much data they have acquired for evaluating them. This really moves them towards lots of realization. Moreover, they need to clarify for themselves as well as for students their assumption and expectations about evaluation as it relates to the collaborative work in the class, and about the evaluative weight will be given to work and to individual work throughout the course. Collaborative learning and the future. Collaborative learning encourages the faculty to remain committed into it in spite of its challenges and hardships, such as time-consuming and effort-consuming. Helps the students to discover more about themselves. It improves students' retention, achievement, and intellectual ability. It develops students as confident and competent learners who can stimulate and re-examine their own work and thinking to be a better one. It develops students' self-esteem and sensitivity to racial, ethnic, and gender differences. Collaborative learning networks and learning community and other circular efforts are expanding. Social interaction skills, appreciation of racial, gender, and ethnic differences, and civic awareness and responsibility are emerging as essential outcomes of academic experiences, not simply of students' life activities. Collaborative learning is beneficial in teachers' and learners' growth and development. Moreover, through sharing of culture, language, experiences, and perspectives, they learn to respect each other and avoid discrimination and biases. Collaborative learning is an ideal strategy to promote teamwork, love, and respect.
Shared inquiry as a process of reform. Collaboration in classroom settings can reveal that learning itself is always an occasion for reform. The process of shared inquiry invites students and teachers to share ideas, to exchange questions and answers, to develop the habit of seeking their knowledge as continuously evolving, indeed reforming, through dialogues with the self, others, and the world.